Well, everybody's probably home now from work and probably getting them a biscuit to gnaw on for supper. And I checked, I didn't see anybody else have a live show on, so I thought I would go on and do some chatting. There may not be nobody on. And if they are, if another show is going, I will get off this one quickly. I just had a great day. I'm just hoping the signal's good. It looks good there. Let me see what it looks like over here. Yeah. Uh-oh. 6 o'clock. Ah, we got one person showed up. He gave me a thumbs up. Oh, that's Mr. Motobomb. Well, last time I saw you, buddy, you was out there stuck in traffic. Mr. Ben Tipton, good evening. Yeah, the train brought my email. It pulls in the grinder switch. Obviously, you worked yourself out of the heavy traffic there, Moto. Oh, so you gave me the like here. Oh, thank you very much, Ben. When we was little boys, well, you about time to take your shoes off and kick back and relax. When we was little boys, there used to be a steam train that came from Nashville, and it came within a couple of miles of our house. But in the hollers we lived in, he had to sound his train whistle at a couple of crossings. And my gosh, that thing was so beautiful. That thing was when it would just come down through the hollows, and after you got through pulling the cable, you could still hear the echoes of the old steam train. Moto, it was a really a great day for a riding, just going out and everything is the leaves are all on the trees and a lot of stuff is flowering out. Plus, oh, the air is so full of pollen that there was a car that went by me that left a trail of yellow behind it. And hello, Mr. Frogzilla. Springtime is a beautiful time. It's the beginning of new life. Um, the trees and the flowers, they come forth and I look forward to it every year. I'm glad you enjoyed the video, Moto. We enjoyed making it, and just I wanted to test out the AI thing to see if there's going to be any problems with it. Now that last song that was about Sick. Sick on his chopper came into town with his leather vest torn. Uh, you know, uh, in other words, he was living a carefree life. That was a song I wrote for Sick. I wished when I wrote it, I would emphasize more things that I know about Sick, but I guess I had writer's block. I just didn't put enough of stuff into it to, let everybody know who it was. And there's Mr. 24. You might have seen my message. I wrote you 24. Back in the 80s, We'd all got computers. The company switched over. A new company came into town called Microsoft, and they was going to run our whole entire Boeing's computer programs. They was going to do everything for us, and so they had to switch over to everything to a Windows-based platform. Well, he had been working on a project, Bill Gates's crew, and some of his writers on artificial intelligence. Well, Boeing needed artificial intelligence for the voice overlays. In other words, when a plane is landing, it says, low terrain, pull up, low terrain, pull up, low terrain, pull up. Well, won't you listen to me, fool? You're going to hit the damn mountain. Shit. Come on now, pull that stick back. You're going to kill everybody on this damn airplane. Of course, it'd be a Southern AI, you know. And so after I got hold of the program, we used to have to write all of our own batch files. See, Windows had not developed yet a shell, you know, where you could look on the screen and see. You had to write a batch file in DOS using regular DOS syntax, which was IBM inspired in those days. Microsoft didn't take over DOS for a little while later. And but when he sent the program on this artificial intelligence, so we could incorporate these voices in every airplane, male or female voice, so it would be automatic AI speaking to the pilot. Well, I wrote a program. Well, I got the artificial program from Microsoft. I didn't write AI, but I took his program and I put a batch file on the command line. So every time my boss, I had a nice young Jewish man for my supervisor. He was a wonderful. Him and I was friends for almost 30 years. Um, he he was a sweet, lovable human being. He was quite bald. He was his hair. He had a hair challenge, but I would make it when he would push to start the computer up. It would speak to him in Yiddish with a Yiddish accent. And, he got the biggest kick out of that. He was the only one that had a talking computer, but because I put the command line to go to this artificial program that Bill Gates had sent us, and then we chose the words that we wanted to use, and it would speak to my boss in Yiddish. Oy vey. I had a lot of fun with him. There was a company, back in probably during that same period of time, came out called Rogaine. And Rogaine was noted for helping hair loss people. And so I got his address. I knew his address. I got it right off the company bulletin board. And I had the videotape sent to him out at his home about how to treat his, this Rogaine, how to treat his male baldness. He never knew who sent it to him. I'm glad you're back home, buddy. I'm glad you safely made a trip all the way across the country. Ain't nothing like home. You get back home and you know where everything's at. You stay in somebody else's room, no matter how well they maintain the room or whatever. You wake up during the night, you don't even know where the bathroom's at. To an old guy, that's really important. See, we get confused a lot. We had fun all of our life. I spent so many wonderful years with the company. I love going to work. I chose to leave the company. The company offered me a huge cash award to leave the company. Me and 9,200 of us left on the same day. 9,200 had to leave the same day. Our company bought a new look. Our company bought an old established company called McDonnell Douglas, but Douglas was gone. There was only McDonald's left in St. Louis, and our company bought that little company over there in St. Louis. Fabulous old company. And they had to get rid of 9,200 of us, and they gave us what they call a, a golden handshake or a golden parachute, however you want to call it, where they pay you to leave and then pay you for the rest of your life. And I couldn't see. I had just turned 30 on the last day for the program for me to qualify was on the June the 30th, 1995, and that was my birthday, and that was the only opportunity for me to qualify. So I took the sack full of money, said goodbye, never even heard the door slam behind me. I never looked back. Old Mac's day was done. He got in his 30 years and he took his sack full of money and went home, went back to the farm. A lot of people had a hard time leaving. Well, I mean, traditionally, when they retire you, they give you this beautiful party and everything. Well, they gave us a party, but in my department in engineering, 7 of us retired on the same day. So there was a party for 7. So it wasn't like an individual party for me. It was a party for the 7 of us. Good friends. We all loved each other. We respected one another. Everybody got along well. But it wasn't that thing, you waited around for 25 years and you finally got your golden watch and the pat on the back and sent out the door. It was a historical moment. The first time in 75 years the company had ever offered a golden parachute or a golden handshake to encourage employees to leave so they can, you know, bring in the new employees from the other company. And hello, Mr. Sterling Wheel. I'm just taking a kind of meandering, wandering trip through my neurons inside of my mind, recalling some of the moments back in the 80s. I'm going to be watching for it, Sterling. I'll make sure I see that. And hello, Mr. Brown Chicken. Yeah, Frog's got his own icon, and so does Brown Chicken. Oh boy, I tell you, I hated it to be broke down. Now I didn't own my truck. Mine was a company truck, but we got broke down in so many places because they gave me one new truck and I ran it. I think I put like 370,000 on it, but they needed me to be in another truck, so I had to start taking different trucks out of the yard until they got me a new truck. And man, we used to sing that song "On the Hook Again." Yeah, I got in Michigan one time in Kalamazoo, Michigan. No, no, my apologies, Ypsilanti, Michigan. I had a flatbed and it was loaded from one end to the other, and I had to lay over from Friday to Monday. I couldn't deliver to Monday. There was a snafu with dispatch, and so I'm down there in the parking lot, and it came a 9, 10 inch snow, and I couldn't get out of my tracks. I could not move, and so I had to be able to get out of the lot so I could get up on the road that was already prepped and clean and ready to run. Ypsilanti. Yep. Finally, they come out and he told me, got me onto the road, and I was able to go to the company and unload. And then I was a little bit late, and they had a little bit of attitude with me. I said, "Hell, if you would have worked it out where I could have delivered to you Friday, you would have had it, and I'd been gone. I wouldn't even had to have somebody come and pull me out of the parking lot." Hey, Josie Wells in Wisconsin, and we got Sterling over in Michigan. Oh, I tell you, I love that Upper Peninsula, Michigan. I don't know what they are about it. It was kind of like going up to Seattle. Once you went through Wisconsin and got up into the Upper Peninsula from that side, it was just miles of big timber, and I just love that whole region up there. Every time there's a run to go to Upper Peninsula, Michigan, I always took it because, man, I loved it. But we were hanging in here like a hair in a biscuit. Josie Wells, I just released a new video today. Got a whole lot of AI in it. So if music is not your game, it's just another bike ride. I was over there um, in Minnesota. There's a place called Eveleth, Minnesota. And you may have not have heard of it, but at Eveleth, Minnesota, there's a huge iron ore mines. And I had a load of steel for Eveleth, Minnesota. And it's once again, I had to lay over for the weekend up there in Eveleth. And God, it was so cold, 33 below zero. And um, it was it was just a long weekend. In fact, I couldn't stay in the truck. I had to go to a Motel 8. You couldn't even inside the sleeper with everything running, you couldn't get warm. It was so cold. I had one of them old, like a day cab, that's it's got a sleeper, a bunk, a 42-inch bunk right behind you, and it was just like being laying up in a coffin. You didn't have that room to wander around a lot. But I stayed at the Motel 8 over there till they opened. My gosh, when I came back out of Eveleth and went down to Duluth, Minnesota, right there at the lake, they had this ice cutter cutting a channel so that the iron ore barges could be towed out to sea or wherever they taken them. I fueled up there, and they have an additive they put in extreme cold weather, and it was only wasn't very long. I was back down in warmer weather once I left out of there. That truck runs so good on that fuel, I wished I'd had me 2 more tanks full of it. Yeah, Red Lady, she's taking care of you there. I stayed at the Holiday Inn up in Kentucky. I went up in the college town up there, Bowling Green, and I stayed at one of the, Holiday Inn, um, one of the more upscale ones, and, oh, that was really nice. Had a good breakfast. If there's another event starting, you guys can let me know. I'm just filling in. I looked, I didn't see anybody else had a chat going or whatever. And maybe they're gonna have one later. I know you've got your uh STD coming up. Holiday Inn was one time my wife booked us, from Seattle, Washington to Orlando, Florida, and for us to stay only at Holiday Inn on the whole we had a, cruising van that had all kinds of nice features in it, um, but we needed to stop and take showers and stuff like that, and she booked us, and the one in Birmingham is on Finley Boulevard. It was in. It is no longer there, but, we didn't know what a Finley Boulevard, but Finley Boulevard just right there near Birmingham, and it's one of the highest crime districts of all of Birmingham. And when we got in there, everybody was hungry. My everybody we had 2 different cruising vans traveling together, and everybody was really hungry, so we decided we'd order pizza. And the pizza company, Pizza Hut, they delivered out there to the Holiday Inn. When the guy came out, we had to go out to the car. He would not leave his vehicle. He had a gun. And I said, "I have never had a pizza delivery guy openly carrying a gun." He said, "Look at your windows. Turn around, look at your windows." And I turned around, look, the big steel bars on the windows. He said, "This is the highest crime district of all of Jefferson County. So, we're not allowed to go on to the complex. I'll come out here and park, and you come get your pizza, and that's that." I went, "Oh my god." We survived it. We didn't get killed or nothing, but my buddy that was traveling with me, it was my sister's husband. He was in the Army as well, Vietnam, and, he could take care of himself, and we wasn't afraid of nothing back in them days, but that's just the way times was. Then that place don't exist now. I don't know where the nearest Holiday Inn down here is. There must be one in Birmingham, but I don't know where it's at. Oh, but I have stayed at some Fleabag Motel 6s, buddy. We stayed down there, at Port Richey. When we went down, we stayed at the Motel 6 in Port Richey. Both beds were broken. I'm talking about when you moved or anything that you could hear metal cracking and clinking in there. And, that was the most pitiful. Yeah, flea bags, boy, that's a good way to describe it. And this one at Port Richey, we noticed the next day, I was there for a couple of days. We noticed that there was a lot of, like, migrant workers, like painters and construction workers and stuff, and I'm telling you, we didn't have no issue there, and I'm like, "Yeah, but, worst bed I've ever slept in." If Angelique was sitting over here, I'd say, "Where is the worst motel we ever stayed?" She'd say, "Port Richey, Florida." And the second worst place we ever stayed in was Council Bluff, Iowa. We, got in real late, 10 o'clock at night, and, so, when we checked into the motel, I said, "Where's a good place to get food?" She said, "Down here at the gas station, they sell pizza. They make them and sell them." And I went down there, and sure enough, they was making pizzas, and the place was loaded with crackheads. I mean, yeah, I'm not kidding you. And Council Bluff, Iowa, they was like metal and pin freaks. They had stuff like a stud through the eyebrow and a chain over to the ear, and they had bull rings in their nose and diamonds in their eyelids. they, oh man, they was like some really tweaked out people there. Scary looking to say the least. And hello, Quick Shoe. I'm glad you took the time to come and join us here this evening. We had sushi for lunch. There's a guy that makes fresh sushi. over there at Piggly Wiggly. And on Fridays, we go over there and they have a 2 or 3 different specialties we both like. Well, they got one that's got jalapeno peppers in it. They was out of it, but they gave her, oh, what's that green looking stuff that makes your nose burn when you eat, agave? No, it's not it. It had some had a potent kick to it. Wasabi. No, it's not it. Wasabi? One of them kind of hot things that, will just open your head up. You broke the like button. Hey, I've got 10 people in there and 5 likes, man. That's a pretty good average, 50%. Wasabi, that's it. Wasabi. I was trying to remember what it is, and I know you gotta be careful when you eat it, because if you breathe through your nose, it'll just take the top of your head off. Yeah, buddy. Oh, what a my weekend started off so good. We, got to we planned up a ride for the day because we knew we had to go shop. We had to go get water and I was watching these people. There's a bunch of people sitting on the benches over there at, Piggly Wiggly. It's a shaded area, and it was 81 degrees, I believe, and a little yeah, it was in the 80s, and everybody was looking for a place to sit down in the shade, and then when they saw Angelique come out, and she had this big old case of water, and it was all looking, and I thought she was gonna put it on the rack. There's a chrome rack on the top lid, the covered area. I thought she was just gonna take a bungee cord and put it up there. She put that in the bottom, and, she put all of the rest of the stuff up on the top, and then people couldn't believe that that trunk could hold that big case of water, you know, that's a lot of space down there. It's like the trunk on a '53 Buick. Uh, quick show open. Oh, I love Augusta. I love Augusta. Um, I used to love to go over there. We used to haul over there regular to Augusta. And another place I love is, where Warner Robins Air Force Base is at. You heading down towards Macon, and then it's kinda off to the right there. Warner Robins. We used to haul to Wonder Lodge. Wonder Lodge makes these big, fabulous $1,000,000 motor coaches. Snore Rider. Who is this guy? I don't know. Did somebody come in? Sterling, who is he seeing? I live in the woods. When you mention some stranger, I start looking around because, there's things out in our woods. Who is this guy? Salty Badger. Look at now. You can count on Salty Badger. He's gonna have a something. He's gonna bring something good to the table. I wrote a song for Toga yesterday or a couple of days ago, and I sent it to him. And because we used to service Turkey, our company, we used to put a lot of well, we had a reason for being there. It was a military operation, and our crew used to go to Izmir, and he loves Izmir. I think he's got family lives in Izmir, Turkey, and we used to have a base of operation there. And of course, Ankara, the capital, you eventually will end up there. And we used to go. We had a thing called the compound in Izmir, but it was off limits to everybody except the people that needed to be there. American Outlaw, good seeing you. How's things up in Bismarck, North Dakota? Got a lot of great memories uh, of North Dakota. So you can only handle those kind of memories when you're young. It was everything was an adventure. We always worried about getting sent to Minot. They used to say, Minot, why not? Why not Minot? And if you got in trouble, if you was a trouble child, you would end up in Minot. A lot of good teams went to Minot. I'm talking about really hardworking teams, but every time you saw an opening to advance yourself or to move somewhere else, if maybe your wing is starting to wind down and you're looking for a new home, like a boll weevil, looking for a home, you'd look up there and you'd always see Minot was always available. Well, Moto, we got a room full of people in here now. We got quite a few folks. We got Sterling, Quick Shoe, American Outlaw, Frogzilla, Brown Chicken, Salty Badger, and the list goes on and on. Yeah, I said Quick Shoe. Yep. Oh, and don't forget Josie Wells, Wisconsin. The pollen was so thick this morning. There was a black car in front of me, and it was leaving a trail of yellow dust behind it as it was. The camera could actually see that I was looking at the rears. I could see the yellow dust. It was so thick. Don't forget, STD has another episode tonight, Moto. That's what I was telling my sister, my younger sister, tonight. I said, your song is now worldwide. My older sister, she's the one that raised 3 kids. I mean, life was pretty tough back in them days, and it could be. Whether you're living on a farm or in a coal mining community or maybe at a fishing village, or there's just so many places that you're isolated away from the rest of the world, and all you know is that world you're living in, whether it be a coal mining village or a pulpwood village or it, no matter where you're at, you're going to find people that live the kind of life you did, maybe in a different setting. Salty Badger, you say you got a little bit of an itch there after watching the STD. Sterling. Salty Badger. You know what you give a guy that's got everything? 1,000 units of penicillin. Oh, thank you very much, Toga. I I was hoping we'd be able to communicate. I have such fond memories of your country, um, from just Moto got a kick out of my penicillin shot. Oh yeah, I kind of think about it like the girls. Look, boys would never have it tough. I mean, hell, we could just almost do anything, but girls, they grow up and maybe they chose the wrong lover, or their first love was a failure, and they've got now children, but it wasn't a life for them, and the struggle of just making a life and a living in those days. And then if you find yourself, your husband is gone and you got to raise little kids, but that's a story told a million times over, whether you're living in a cold water flat in Brooklyn, New York, or out on a lonely ranch in Montana or Wyoming, or at coal mines in Birmingham. It's all the same. Moto Bum, are you calling me Max Headroom? You remember Max Headroom? I think Dave in Australia sort of inspired me about using music, and hell yeah, Max Headroom, man. He was just a pair of lips and a brain and a jug. That I don't know what period of time that was. Was that in the 70s or maybe the early 80s when Max Headroom 80 it must have been in the 80s, Max Headroom. That was back when Spuds McKenzie was popular too. No, I just saw Max over and I said, "I bet he's talking about old Mac." Oh, it was in the 80s, Max Headroom. Slicing up the silence. And nobody will forget the little Taco Bell dog. You know, that little, Chihuahua, man, he was a cock of the walk. "Yo, yo." Oh, quick show, then you understand. You're at the age where you know what hard times are like. I mean, um, I think almost anybody born from the year 2000 wouldn't even have a clue of what it's like to be so close and yet so far away from everything that everybody else has got. It's unreachable for you. I told quite a few stories about when I got discharged and I went to the West, and I had a promising career. I could handle heavy equipment, and um, I knew if I got to the West, there would be a lot of construction and things going on, and um, I knew I would be able to make it. But boy, there was some. We got up in Denver, Colorado. Me and Floyd Potts got in Denver, Colorado, and we couldn't get a job nowhere. I'm talking about, man, so we stayed on, wish I could Colfax, I believe it is. Colfax, it was Skid Row of Denver, and that was back during the time when the Denver police was going through quite a shakeup. They were a cruel, very evil empire, the law in the 50s. That would be in the late 50s. We stayed down on Colfax, and we had to sell our blood. Me and old Floyd Potts, I've got Rh negative type A, which it makes up only 3% of the world's population. Pretty, they like it. They use it in open heart surgery. And but unfortunately they closed up and we had to spend the whole week because they didn't open up but just 1 day per week, and we stayed a week on Colfax in Denver, living in Skid Row, and so we could get up there and sell our blood. As soon as we sold our blood, we got enough money to put in that car. Back in them days, gas was 19 cents a gallon, and so I got 25 or $30 in those days, a lot of money. Several gas you could fill the tank up several times with that kind of money, and we made it all the way up to Walden, Colorado. There's no women in here, are they? I don't see any women on here tonight. Oh, okay. So the Garden of Eden, I'm telling this for Salty. So in the Garden of Eden, there was Adam and Eve there in the garden, and God said, "Now looky, Adam, I've got you a helpmate here, but under no circumstances are you to tap that. You know, you're going to lay off on it. You're going to just leave it alone. You're going to be encouraged to get all up into it and everything. But I'm telling you, don't do it." So, he gave him a pretty. But he said it like this: "Don't do it." And boy, so they was messing around and everybody was having fun and one evening, I guess the fig leaf blew off, and he sees that, and he's getting sort of, like, yeah, he's been there with her now, how long can a guy last, right? He's been with her, laying her by her side and everything, but he ain't touched her. But he was overcome by this most powerful urge, and he did it. They got I mean, he just, like, was doing, like, all the did a backflip off in her, and, oh, he just did it all, and, I mean, he went all I mean, he just everything that was in his mind, he didn't have any book play plans, he just had to make it up on the spot. But after he got through, he remembered, uh, he was told, "Don't touch it," and he already did. So, he takes her down to the creek, and he said, "God's gonna be so pissed off when he gets back and he knows I've done this. I'm gonna wash you out really good, and he ain't gonna know anything about it, right?" "No, no, no, I won't say hell no, I won't say nothing." So anyhow, he washes her out real good, and so God comes back, and he's looking at the 2 of them, and immediately he could tell by the flushed skin they had been up to something. So, God says, "Which one of you gonna tell me?" "Well, I I don't know anything." "Come on, I want to know." Adam finally stepped up, being the man that he was, and he's feeling pretty good about his conquest too. He said, "All right, I broke my promise to you and I did it with her. But don't worry, God. I took her down to the creek and I washed her out really good." Hey, God went, "Oy vey, I'll never get that smell out of the fish." That's my little joke. Come on now. At least Sterling will got a kick out of it. A couple of you guys, I'm sure I'm gonna have to explain it. I'll have to go back and I know. Some of the more modern men are gonna say, "That was so sexist." Well, I've had a I've had a lot of years of being the class clown, so I've got I got practice. Oh, heck yes, I do have more. It never ends. One time we got into a joke telling session at a big party. We was having a fondue party back in the 70s when that's when you would practice with the cannabis and eat bananas dipped in chocolate and all that kind of stuff. Fondue. And this one of the ladies there, she was a German lady that was married to a military man out of Fort Lewis. And she said, I got to call mom and tell her these jokes. Now, she would translate the jokes that we would tell her to her mom. And her mom, it was so lost in translation, a lot of it didn't mean anything to to her. Oh, it was so funny. Well, yeah, God, some of the things I'm going to ask him when I see him now. Um, Now you look at this now. I mean, you guys ponder this. I'm going to give you this weekend thought to think about this weekend. God, when He created you, He gave you two eyes, two ears, two arms, two legs, but only one heart, one brain, and you know what the other thing He gave us? Just imagine the fun we could have had if we had had two of them. I mean, I don't know about the two hearts. There might have been a lot of thumping and beating in your chest, and it might have been a little bit. It might have It might not have worked really good. And with 2 brains, you'd be thinking that one brain would be evil, I'm sure, and the other one would be just heavenly. But with 2 of those, I don't know. One got me in a lot of trouble. It's called marriage. Yeah, yeah, that one in the front, you, um, you can't swing by it through the jungle. Oh, yeah, that I fell in love. But falling in love I'm gonna tell you the honest God truth. I'm married to a little Swedish woman. She's gone now. She's living in out of this earth. Um, she made passionate love to me that morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. I remember it to this day. It was really wonderful. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was evicted out of her house by the sheriff. So it was love early in the morning, and it's hard to label love. You don't know if it's coming from the heart or from the hard. Playing possum. Uh, yeah, they will sew up, we call it. With, know, um, there was some dogs attacked one in my backyard, and it was all sewed up. So I went out there and got him by the tail and took him over to the fence now and dropped him over the fence so the dogs couldn't tear him up. That doggone thing got up and trotted off into the woods. Man, they're tough little creatures. They're the best animal you can have on your farm. I never ever harm a possum. They eat snakes and they eat their weight in ticks. I mean, they'll eat every tick they can get their lips on. Oh, Frogzilla, some of them, they're like a timberjack when it comes to that wood, you know? Don't take 'em much they can skin the bark off in a good oak tree. Oh, I love guinea hens. They get up in the top of the tallest tree. They'll go way up in the top of the tree. They're the best security you can have on your place. Ain't nothing gonna arrive on your place when you got guinea hens, and they make a sound like "Padrak, Padrak, Padrak." It makes a long sound, and it carries a long distance. You can be in watching TV, and when you hear the guinea hens are calling from the top of the pine tree, you better look out the door. They're like watchdogs. I had a friend, Brian Adams. He had so many guinea hens over there, and boy, they would run in the they'd get up in the trees and they would holler and carry on and we had them on the farm too. We loved them. The little gray speckly little they're just nice little creatures. I'd go down and sit down and they'd come running up there and I'd have some scratch feed out and I'd throw the scratch feed around me and they'd just be all around me and oh, quick show you when you find the right woman, oh, I make jokes, but lucky. I met Ruth when I was young, middle aged, 50 years old. I married her on my 50th birthday. The day I turned 50, I married her in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and we was married 33 years. The most loyalest. She was so loyal. Uh, she was a good woman. Good in so many ways. Not only was she a good lover, she was a good cook and a good mother. I just had a couple of weeks. Well, Moto can remember I just came in from a ride and the phone had rang and when I got the phone out of the pouch, a friend of mine had just passed away. He was in the army. He was stationed at the same place my brother was trained. He was a tank driver. My brother was in the army, and he was stationed out there, in Barstow, California. Well, this friend of mine, that's he was stationed out there too, but many decades later, and, he just passed away. Him and his wife was together like 60 years of goodness. I'm talking about good quality life. You saw one, you saw the other. Del Taco, yeah, Angelique loved Del Taco. We ate as far as we found Del Tacos, various places, but that right there, oh, we went up to Calico Ghost Town, you know, right there at Barstow. You drive out there 20 miles or so, and we went up there and had cold beer at Calico Ghost Town, El Chapo. Yeah, my brother is buried there in at Mountain View Cemetery there in, Barstow. He was at back in those days, it was called Camp Irvin, and now it's Fort Irwin, the, Abrams A-1 Tank Training Center. It's a beautiful place out there. It's, pretty desolate, and my brother was killed over there where motorbomb, he was killed at Fort Story, Virginia. he got into the area where there was Aberdeen proving grounds, and they was testing all kinds of new Army equipment, and he was killed there at Fort Story, Virginia, in the surf. His amphibious duck capsized, and he was the driver, and of course, he went to the bottom, but they buried him out in the military cemetery in Barstow, California. Del Tacos, if you next time we're having a sit down and Angelique's in here, just ask her what is her favorite taco. She'll tell you taco place, Del Taco. Now up in Washington, they have uh, taco time, and there you can get a Mexi fry, which is like a tater tot with peppers and stuff in it. And but they changed the name. You know how things have to be changed. How many of you folks here remembers a chain of restaurants was called Sambo's? Sambo's restaurant. And he always had a black guy standing out in the front with a little horse riding suit on or whatever. And he was like from a plantation, whatever. Sambo's. And I think it was taken over by the Denny Corporation. It was, they changed the name, but Sambo's was a good place to eat. Yeah, I like Taco Time. There's several things they got on the menu that Taco Bell doesn't have. In fact, I'll tell you the honest God truth. I believe Taco Time is more authentic as far as flavoring than Taco Bell. Taco Bell is a commercialized form of quick, artificial Mexican food. It's like going to the Olive Garden to get authentic Italian food. The only thing I really like at Olive Garden is the endless salad, the salad bowl. Yeah, at Virginia Beach, right? You're absolutely right. There was a whole bunch of amphibious ducks from Aberdeen. They sent down there to test, and he was over at Fort Story, and they selected his crew to test these machines. And there's a rock out there, and they had to go out around the rock, and the surf rolled them over, and all the first three went out capsized because there was a huge storm that came in off the Atlantic and high rollering waves, and actually it was not even safe to do it, but it was the Army way of testing how they would handle in real rough water. Yeah, I used to live right across from Fort McHenry. At Fort McHenry from Baltimore, where I lived there in a little village called Canton, Canton. And my hearing is really good. It's still good today. I could hear the Fort McHenry. They had a every evening they would do reveille, and you could hear it coming across the water from where I'd go up on the top floor. Was had a 3-story flat there, and in Canton, and I really loved that. It was so beautiful. What a beautiful place to spend some time. I spent the summer there. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, they're doing a good job on the like button over there. I've got 13 people in here, and I got 10 likes going, and so, I mean, look at the percentages are going up. We just turned an hour and 5 seconds. So, anybody that needs to go and want to excuse themselves, did it? This is a show to do much to do about nothing, and I just wanted to spend a little time with you guys and let you know how much I really appreciate the opportunity to go out and ride today and make a little video and tested out my AI. some stuff I created. I do all my words myself. The one I did for sick, I just regret that I didn't embellish more on more things about sick other than just riding the bike. I wish I'd have added other things, but I did it on the spur of the moment and should have spent more time, I guess. Toga is he's my number one fan, man. I've been in a lot of places and Toga's been there. Like I said earlier, I think one of the reasons I hold Toga in such high regards is I love his country. I ain't talking about political or religious aspects, the country itself. I don't get myself involved in none of those things. That's that country, the way it runs itself, that's fine with me. It was here thousands of years before we were, so it has it has some history. Every great conqueror in the world that ever decided to, start out on a venture, they had to go through Turkey. Alexander the Great, he took a herd of elephants across the Alps and everything, and but he marched across Turkey, Pakistan, Afghanistan, all up through there. Everybody thought that there was somebody. They always ended up going to Turkey. Hell on wheels. Oh, please don't say that, Sterling Will, because who knows? That might be the next country, that we could make. Canada's going to be 51, and it's going to be a toss up if we're going to call Greenland 52 or Panama 53 and maybe 54 for Turkey. Shh. Don't let anybody know how pretty Turkey is. We don't want nobody to get an idea. All my friends that was sent to Turkey, they they fell in love with the place. You know what? My niece lives. They living on a boat in the Sea of Cortez. They live. Oh, they're leaving now. They're getting the boat ready. They're heading out to Vietnam. They're selling out. Oh no, they're selling out from the Sea of Cortez to Hawaii, and they're going to make a vectoring turn at Hawaii and catch the Pacific Current, and they're going to go just off the chain of islands coming down out of Alaska, and make that inland passage down into Seattle. They got a route all planned out, and then they're going to go to Vietnam in their sailing boat. Oh, I love that. I love that. I know. Look at read Toga. Let me see. You guys be sure to look at Toga's comment there about Alexander the Great when he saw a villager near the Black Sea. He was looking so poor, and he asked, "Wish from me anything, peasant." And the guy be like, "Don't cut my sunlight. This was my only wish." Oh my! Yeah, even the in the 12th century. 12th, 13th, 14th, in that period of time when the Crusaders for like 400 years, they traveled through Turkey to get to the Middle East. And look at that village they found. They found a village that was completely buried by the people, the inhabitants there, packed in sand, so done so precisely, dates back 12,000 years. And when you come out where it's at, if you take a look, you see Mount Ararat sitting over there. Historically, biblically speaking, Mount Ararat is suspected to be where Noah's Ark landed over there in that part of the world where Mount Ararat's located. Well, my military thought about Turkey. If Turkey was attacked from the rear, would Greece help? Oh my God! Yeah, you remember they used to line the roads with heads sticking on a pole. Man, the Ottoman Empire. They ruled for a long time, and when these guys would get on them crusades, they would crucify people and do all that. Oh, that's a little bit of dark side of history, but it is not my job to understand it. I want to think I have achieved unity. 10 for 10. Man, it don't get no better than that. I have my loyal fan Sterling Wheel there to thank for reminding about the hit the button. Which country has the most beautiful women? I'm gonna tell you, this is my honest God truth. Pound per pound, the most beautiful women on this God's earth is in the Philippines. I'm in a little primitive place like Mindanao. If you want to go down and find raw beauty of the most gorgeous women with the most silky, dark flowing hair, with the kind and gentleness, you ain't gonna. It's hard to top Filipino women. They got little bodies. It was what men love, the looks and they like the spirit that the Filipino woman has. Then, of course, a lot of people don't do the dark hair people. Big old, big busted Nordic women, like Scandinavia. Give me a Swedish girl. I like Swedish women. They're beautiful. If fair skin is not your game, some of the prettiest women I ever saw was when I was read National Geographic, and they was somewhere down around the Belgium Congo. God knows women are beautiful and almost in any shade of skin color. They're beautiful. They're eye candy. God in his wisdom gave us such beautiful women and Japanese women. I love Japanese women. I like the kindness. I like the fact that Japanese women love to be dominated. They love a superior male. I was raised in a Southern family. My mother raised all of us boys to be the men of the family, and it took us a long time to alter our ways of life to understand that females are to be respected, and they're not our servants. That's the reason I went through so many wives. I was trying to live up to the Southern tradition of my women serving me, and that ain't good. I can tell you. But it's the thought of having a woman that would be kind and gentle to you. And hello, Evil Rick, chasing ghosts. Variety is the spice of life there, chasing ghosts. Oh, yeah. I like big old good uns and good old big uns. And the older you get, it seems like you like them more. Everything is just outside your reach. Oh, I can speak. One of my children married a Filipino woman, and she's a lovely lady. Oh my God, the food that they cook, all the finger foods and like lumpia. I like. I could eat my weight in that. They have so many really well. They're like Southern people in my aspect of the thought of a woman as frying food, and they know how to fry food. They fry fish. It's yeah, well, um, I'm gonna tell you, they are a side of the Filipino woman. You don't wanna make make them mad. They're very loyal to you, and they'll give their life for you, but don't trifle with them. Don't mess around. Don't let that eye start wandering around because that's a shortcut to your destruction with a Filipino woman. And when she starts cutting you with a knife, she's not too caring about what part she cuts off. Usually it's the part that makes her mad. Hey, sick. I put your song today in my video, sick, and I apologize for not actually putting more emphasis on you as a person. Um, I just put it together really fast without I just wanted to have that beat of a free flowing, freedom loving human being that you are. It has been it's probably still warm right now. Let me see what the temperature is. Um, yeah, like I say, I just put it together. I should have put more things to emphasize. You just got a little bit of everything going on for you. I'm gonna try to get back down here to the weather. Look here, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is, 7:15 in the evening, Central Standard Time. 76 degrees. Can't even get it to focus. Come on, focus there. I almost focused. Anyhow, 76 degrees. We've been waiting on this. I'll be sleeping under a sheet tonight. I won't need no comforter. 7-3. To us in Morse code, 7-3 means with regard. If you send 7-3 in Morse code, it's telling whoever you finish talking with regards. 60 degrees with a thunderstorm. Hey, Thomas Bailey. I did, in fact, I did mention the Grateful Dead on a repeated cycle, because man, I mean, we went through some times there with you back when you'd crank up the Grateful Dead and it would go on, and I could go away and go out there and do something and come back in the house and the Grateful Dead would still be playing. Oh, we got storms too that's going to be brewing. Anytime you begin to see it get real warm, you're going to see some thunderstorms. We're just right now in the middle or starting into our severe stormy weather. If anybody I miss over there in the comments when I'm rattling along there, I forget to go over and look. But yeah, I looked over and I saw Thomas Bailey came in a while ago, but I saw people speaking to him, and I looked up there and I said, "Oh, I missed him." Frogzilla's back. Well, you enjoy your reading. I remember when they used to pay me to read. We had what they call a reading list, and it would come from the Pentagon. They would send it out to us, and it was required reading. And they would people would give you a quiz or a test on the reading. His job was to find out if you actually did read the memo. They really wanted you to read it, so they paid you good money to sit and read. And you learn little ways of memorizing stuff that you read so that when the inspector they call them quasar came from the Pentagon, and they would schedule a quasar visit, and when they'd come into your office, he's going to give you a test before you leave. And we had ways of memorizing, keynotes, things that what they would be looking for. No. Yeah, we had all this encrypted stuff. We used to have a thing we had to it's called TSO, and there'd be no reason to explain what the TSO stands for, but TSO was an encrypted method that would get on the green key machine. The green key is a keyboard that made a dyno tape, a tape that had little holes and knocked out little holes of Chad, and you'd pre-record this, and then on a given hour, they would tell us what time to release the bulletin. I would go over and hit the send button, and that little tape would start spinning, and all the keys would start moving, and they was totally encrypted stuff back in them days, and that was our secured method of talking with the Pentagon was through the green key teletype. Because when you sent the letter A, it didn't go out as A, it went out as something else, but the decoder on the other end broke down what the message had to say. And they had a whole battalion of people there reading that kind of stuff. A lot of panic all around the world about things that's going on. And messages that shouldn't be the kind of equipment being used. We're all human beings. We're going to take shortcuts. But sometimes a shortcut can come back and bite you in the ass. I think I may have told a story. It was pouring down raining. We put a brand new antenna into a Minuteman silo. We put it in the ground. The antenna weighs 54,000 pounds and it's 26-foot long, buried in the ground. It's called LLF, low frequency. And when they installed the antenna down there, in my URSO, I have a book for every operation, and I opened the URSO on the antenna, and in the URSO it said QA verify serial number. So when it was pouring down rain and lightning, when the worker came in, I said, "Would you mind get me the serial number?" Well, he went over there and he had his little Nextel, and he called me on the Nextel, and he said 40. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking it's 4 0 0s, 4 zeros, 40, but I put down the 40 instead of 40, like 40, and it's got to be a 7-digit number, but it ended up only being 5 digits long. And I went ahead and logged it in, QA verify, and it made it to a guy that his job is to monitor all of the productivity on the site. That's his job, accountability. And he spotted the serial number was incorrect. He knew it's going to be a 7-digit number. So they called me in for a conference and they wanted to know, did I QA verify this antenna as it was being installed in the ground? By them asking me the question, I already know that they know I didn't verify it. And at that time there, that's a time to come clean. And I explained to them about the storm. And since the workers are very well aware of how important it is to record everything, we got caught. We got bit in the butt, man. I got a Form 24 letter. Form 24 means corrective action must be taken. And the corrective action was sentenced on me, and I fulfilled the obligation of the Form 24. Never, ever to make that mistake again. American Uncensored. Well, I'm happy you come over and visit with us. Oh, yeah, if you ever hungry, there'd be no excuse not finding the kind of food you want in Las Vegas. I'm waiting for Sterling to answer Salty Badger. Salty Badger wanted to know, Sterling, if you're still in Flint, Michigan. Toga asked me, did I have another one? I should have told him this one. I think it's safe to tell. It's yeah, I think it's a safe to tell. This guy goes into a bar. You know it's going to be a good one when a guy's going into a bar. Um, and as he walks up to the bellied up to the bar, the bartender said, "Hey, buddy, I don't want to come off sounding mean to you or nothing like that, but we don't actually serve your kind here." And the guy said, "What do you mean you don't serve my kind?" And he said, "Well, take a look at yourself. Look at the mirror over there. You got a pink shirt with ruffles, silver buttons. You got a, you know, just take a look there. You got gold buttons on. You'd be more comfortable down here at the Silver Spur, where they cater to your kind." He said, wait a minute. I'm kind of getting a drift where you're going here." He said, "Let me tell you, I told my wife to go down to Cox and get myself a seersucker suit. And that nitwit, she confused herself and she went to Sears and bought me a cocksucking suit. I'm a straight guy like you." Was that over the top? Yeah, you don't want to get your seersucker mixed up. Oh, Toga was here. He did hear it. Okay. I saved that one just for you, buddy. You know, the impression you make when you walk into a bar. Let me tell you a little story about walking into a bar. My mama was 75 years of age, and she wanted to go and see this live band that was at a bar in Auburn, Washington. Her and her lady friend that lived next door to her. And at the time, I had a Lincoln Town Car, and so I went over and picked them up, and I took them down to the place, but I couldn't park, so I let them out there on the street. She said, "No, here's a good place. Just let us out here." So I let them out on the street, and they went to go listen to their music. So about 11 o'clock, she called me 11:30. I had my pajamas on. I was having me an evening cocktail at home, and the phone rings, and it's my mother. She said, "Would you come and get us? They've already played all the sets, and we're ready to go home." And I said, "Well, where is it at?" And she said, and she started naming, where I knew what street I let her off on. So I go back down to that street and I see this bar. It's called, and I seen all this crowd of people, huge crowd. So I know that this has to be the right place. And it's called Doodads. Yeah, the name of the bar was Doodad. And so I walked in and it was filled full of bikers. I'm talking about these hard chain dragging bikers. They wouldn't know no two strokers in there. They're all heavy duty V twin, big thundering engines, Harley riders. So I walked around and went over to where the bartender was at, and I go, and there's a big burly a big old biker there, and I kind of squeezed in there so I could ask the bartender. I said, where's the band at?" And he said, "We don't have no band in here tonight. That's on." I go, "What? My mother is supposed to be at a band here, watching some music." And he said, and the big old burly biker, he turned to me, he said, "You looking for your mama?" And he grabbed his crotch and said, "I got your mama right here." I looked around and then all the bikers are all joining in with him, like, "Yeah, I got your mama over here." So I went, "Well, hell, this is the wrong place." I come outside the door and I look down the street and I see my mama about a half a block down there standing outside. So I go down there and get her. Well, about a half a dozen of these bikers now that came out of the bar. And when I got down to my car, my Lincoln Town Car, they was all sitting on the hood. And there's my sister in there, she can verify my story. And so I get my mother and her girlfriend, the lady friend, another 75-year-old woman, and got them into the car. And I blowed my horn to get them to get their asses off my hood, because I was going to put it in gear and just throw bodies all over the street. I was wanting out of that place. But they got off the hood, and I got her home, and I told her, I said, "Man, I'm gonna tell you, them people were just pretty rowdy." She said, "What was you doing in that biking bar?" I said, "I was looking for you." Hey, Joyce, that's my story about a biking bar in Auburn, Washington. Okay, well, oh, you've been battling that dryer unit for a couple of days now. I thought they would give you some help over at McLennan Hardware. And by the way, a couple of people in here was touched by your story about you being raised up in the coal mine in town and raising your children and working in the fields and you as a human being can convey to them. You don't have to answer, but it's a true story. And I watched all those stories unfold as seeing you coming up from a little baby girl, growing up into a woman and becoming a mother and the struggles with, for all the children. And we was all in the same boat. Times was hard. Let's give let's give Joyce a big hand. That was a little hand. Hey, Jim Reynolds. Jim, it's motorcycle riding time, buddy. In my song today, I mentioned Tri-Glide for all of us three-wheeler riders. We have pride in our bikes as well. Oh, me. Going out tomorrow for sure. Man, I'm hoping the weather's going to be good for you. It's going to be good here. I'll probably ride again tomorrow. We used to go to Vegas a lot, but we went to Reno more than we went to Vegas. And in fact, my sister, when she married her first husband, which in her eyes, she thought that was her true love of her life because they had children together. But we went to Carson City and she was married in Carson City, Nevada. And then we left there and went to up near Portland, Oregon in her husband's car. And we got up there in Gresham, Oregon. And then on their honeymoon night now, they got married in Carson City. We drove to Gresham, Oregon. My brother and I rigged up the bed while they were out shopping and whatever. We rigged up their bed. So my brother and I was in an adjacent room there. And when the moment hit there, we could hear the old bed spring. And then the headboard come down and smacked him in the head. And my sister was young and virtuous at the time, and when he screamed out in agony, she thought it was part of the orgasm. So she started screaming too. "Wah!" And of course, me and my brother had to jump out the window because he's now coming in and wanting to kill both of us. It was called chivalry back in our days. You always rigged up your sister's bed or from her husband so the bed would collapse on him. That's the way things were back in our days. Hey there, Robin. Hello, Robin. Hello. Let me see if I can get this right over here.
Hello, Robin.
Here it is, a Friday evening. Oh, let me get rid of that. There we go. Oh, let's see.
Hello, Robin. I'm hoping that life is tender for you and your beer is always cold. Now, I'm wishing that tonight all of your wishes come true.
Was that better? Yeah, I'm like Father Guido, Guido Sarducci. How many people? Raise your hand. I'm looking. How many people remember Guido Sarducci? Oh, quick. Good evening. Much love and respect right back to you. Father Sarducci. Guido Sarducci, cigarette smoking, pretty hip, laid back father. Oh, I'm sorry to hear. I'm sorry you lost your bird. Now, I don't have that tune. I could play bird, bird, bird is a word, word, bird, bird is a word. Probably that would be inappropriate. Yeah, Saturday Night Live. I used to love Second City, John Candy, and oh, there were so many really good stars on that Second City. Rosanna Dana, she was a handful too. Rosanna Dana had that head of hair, man. Yep, I remember that song too. Oh man, yeah, birds live a long time. What did he get into something? Sometimes um, they can get into stuff and it shortens their life. I don't know exactly what a bird can't eat, but I know my dog. He got into some chocolate. I had some chocolate kisses, and the bag somehow got on the floor, and he ate 4 chocolate kisses, and dang near killed my boy. He's a tough little guy, but he had a hard time. Yeah, Bo Bannon. No, it's chocolate makes them it damages their kidneys. Um, you can destroy their kidney system. It's very toxic. The raisins, don't give your dog no raisins. Raisins are not a good for your dog. Onions, garlic. Those are no things for your dog. I don't know what's bad for a bird, but I know a dog, you have to be really careful about stuff. Oh, antifreeze will just destroy their little kidney system. That's bad news. I'm glad you're okay, brown chicken. Yeah, this is a time of the year when storms can pop up pretty quick. Check around, make sure there's not just common household things can kill a bird. They just had a My sister can verify this. They just had a severe thunderstorm with potential tornadoes this week in Washington State that came up off the ocean and came from the south going to the north, and it raised havoc for hundreds of miles. And and that's really unusual for that far north to the 46th parallel. That far north of the 46th parallel. That For March especially. Ugh. We used our cats. We used to have to give them a lot of stuff for hairballs, and we started buying food that's formulated to help combat the hairball thing. Oh, please don't start talking about balls because Salty Badger, he's in here, and before you know it, they'll be talking about decks, big decks, larger decks, big, firm, hard decks made out of hardwood, decks with mass and girth. And of course, every guy on here believes he's got the biggest deck. I think it was, I don't remember which one of them critters one day said it, their deck was so big people could walk on it. Well, of mine, I call it Buddy. Come on, buddy. You can do it. Come on. Hey, come on, buddy. I know it's scary. Come on. You can do it. Pull your head out of that little shell and let's go for it. I knew I could count on Salty Badger. Yeah, a lot of swinging decks in there. He don't like it when I call mine little buddy. Come here, little buddy. Well, when you get past 80, you get out of the shower and you step down over on my closet door. I've got these big mirrors, big side by side mirrors. I look over there. and I start singing that song, "Hang down your head, Tom Dooley." I when I turned 80, I looked over there the day I turned 80, and I said to it, I said, "You know, if you'd have lived, you'd have been 80 today." He just hung his head down. That one little eye was just looking for fire ants. Just decking around. You keep messing around and I'm gonna deck you. That's a scary thought, man. Oh man, I just got decked. That's just no way to treat a deck. You're not giving your deck enough of respect. You know, I'm gonna get with Motorbomb. I don't know if he'll do this or not. We'll have to do it in a private setting. I'm gonna take. I'm gonna go to meet Motorbomb, and we'll set this thing up. I want him to tattoo a dollar bill on my anatomy, and because I really want to watch my money grow. Brown chicken. That was a it was made in Chattanooga, Tennessee, at a Harley dealership. They made quite a few of them. It was called the Hornet. They made a few of them. They set up a jig, and they did all the it's not a Frankenstein rear end like the modern you see a lot of guys. This had, heim joints. All your radial rods and everything was all put together with heim joints. Built really good. As an engineer, I looked at the engineering side of it, and it was really built good, and it was built solid. It had the 4 cow motor in it. It was warmed over. I think they call S&S calls it stage one or stage two. It was really a good horsepower, and what we did, we improved it by changing the counter sprocket, made the counter sprocket smaller, and give us more oomph out of the hole, and it would run with the big boys there. I mean, it was a good machine. Well, I've got a video. I got a video of me, we were running about 90 or 95 miles per hour with the thing there in a curvy road, and I look at it afterward, and I thought, "Well, you'd have to be drinking to do something like that." And I said, "Oh, I was." That Yeah, Motor's gonna charge me a handling fee. I can see him now, preparing, to lift the apparatus into position to do his work there using a pair of silver tongs. It's hard to make your money stretch today, and you'll see as you get older, your money just won't stretch like it did in the early years. You back in a long time ago, you could stretch that thing, man. Money would just, but oh yeah, I think that's like a temporary fix. I like that whole idea. After 4 hours, I'm not going to call anybody. I'm going to take a lot of pictures. Call a doctor after 4 hours. No, I'm gonna call all my friends. Oh, yeah, that machine runs good. The one that we got now, it runs really good. And it's no slouch. It'll run with the traffic. Um, and you got to keep in mind it weighs 1,200 pounds. And time me and her gets on there, we're looking at a 1,600 pound load going down the road. Thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that, brown chicken. It does shine up good. I'll park out there and she'll run in and get groceries or something. And the people come up and it's got gold striping on it, around the trims of the edges and it stands out pretty good, as I, for an old machine, it still has its body is in good shape. It don't rattle anywhere. I'm talking about it. When they put that thing together, they really did it good. I run whatever the traffic runs. Like one Saturday, we were going to Huntsville, Alabama. We was going for Angelique's birthday, and we were running at 95 miles per hour with the traffic. And then we went to 105 miles per hour when we crested over what they call Lacon. Lacon is a ridge, a mountain ridge here in Alabama. And we topped over. I took a picture. We just crossed the 105 mark as we crested over the hill. Um, but that's what the traffic is running. It was running pretty fast up there. Alabama is noted for the speed. People carry a lot of speed here. Today I was running 80 on the freeway and they was passing me like I was sitting still. Oh yeah, after that, I had a friend that he had a truck, him and his wife, and they had a little trailer they pull with it. And they went everywhere. They left Washington State, went all the way back to Washington, D.C. to the wall, and they rode that track and they camped all the way across the country. Yeah, we run whatever the traffic will hold. The law ain't going to they're not going to bother you here very much. As long as you ain't doing something foolish. We rode fast in Florida. Down in Florida, they run really fast. We were down there at Tampa, and we was actually in that area down there on one of the freeways, and we were running 85 miles per hour, and the bikers went by us like we were sitting still. We didn't have the nerve to drive that fast because we couldn't afford a ticket. Let me see. I think I got a picture. I think I got a leaf right here. Let me see. I just took. I had to go out and look at the crop yesterday. I usually go out and check the crop out, and what it be? That would be pretty on the flag, yeah. You can't really see it, you can't that's a shame that videos maybe I'm too close, I don't know. You can't even see it there. That's pitiful. Oh, I almost had it there. Well, you can't see the color, but everything's blooming out really good here. Leafing out, I should say. Thomas Bailey, if you wanna, I don't have the ability to bring it up. If you go to my page, I've got a little video in there. You watch me take the corners, and you don't see me laying way over, none of that kind of stuff. I do lean because I'm an old four-wheel rider, and I can use body English, but I go 95 miles per hour around these curves. I think of the unbalanced thing you might be thinking of it. No, I've never experienced anything that would even give me a feeling of like the wheels are coming off the ground. I just won't allow it to happen. You know, that you got suspension on them. You got those two wheels are going to hang to the ground really good. Ain't like the old rigid frame they used to have. No, eh, uh, oh, they're very stable machines. I've been around curves with the big boys riding their bikes, and they go, "I can't believe you're still with me." I go, "Well, I'm here, Ada." 3 wheelers like the Honda 3 wheeler, you know, like the little short. I We had a 250R 3 wheeler, 250R. That's a water cooled 2 cycle engine, and it was my sister. She got on it with me, and we was in Coos Bay, Oregon, and we climbed this 275-foot dune. Her and I on a 250R Honda. And then we did a backflip at the top, and the bike come down and crushed her vertebrae in her neck. She's had many surgeries. She laid in the hospital for a long time. Hell, I know about being hurt on a 3 wheeler. That's a little old Honda 3 wheelers, you know. These Harley 3 wheelers, man, you would be hard pressed to tip them over. I mean, you could, but you'd have to work at it. You got wide wheelbase, and yeah, do that, Robin. We'll take a look at it. Connie is home and she's well. She's doing well. I spoke to her today. I believe we text. No, I spoke to her on the phone. Yeah, we talked on the phone, and she's doing well. I got a brother that is in bad condition. He's 88 years old. He's got pneumonia, and it appears to be he's getting up in age. Everybody has a life cycle. Oh, Thomas, the trikes have a lot of stability. You feel really you work now. I'm gonna tell you, if you go hard into a corner, you've got to work that machine. You can't sit up there like some kind of a dunce sitting up there. You know, you could flip over and be killed. You gotta use your upper strength in your body. The harder you go, the harder you gotta work. Now, if you want to take it easy, bring the speed down 20 or 30 miles per hour, you can glide around these curves with the greatest of ease. And you got plenty of horsepower. You don't ever run out of horsepower. Lots of RPM, and you find yourself going up and down in the gearbox when you're doing these hard curves and stuff like that. Um, Prepping yourself for the next dip that you go in and then come up the other side. You're going to be down in the lower gears. You work really hard when you're doing that kind of riding. It is not as enjoyable as a nice leisure ride in the countryside because of the amount of effort you have to put into riding a track. But the rewards is yours. You come out of the ride feeling pretty safe about yourself because of the stability. You got steering dampeners and you got all kinds of stuff on them. They're well engineered to give you, and you got big old wheels, big tires, and I feel confident on them. I just know where I would think my limit would be. There's probably others who carry it way beyond what I can do. Well, you go into a curve and there's gravel across the road, you've got a lot of rubber on the ground. You got 3 tires on the ground versus a two-wheeler. Two-wheeler get in gravel, you're pretty well done. But a three-wheeler still, they come with ABS braking, all that kind of stuff on them. They got a lot of control, a lot of stability. There's always something that can take you out no matter whatever it is, when you least expect it. Well, there's a video of mine. I was riding 75 miles per hour on I-65 South, and I heard a little ticking noise coming from the back, and it started making a little bit more noise, and I was listening to it, and I was passing an 18-wheeler, and I could hear it louder when I got up past the big 18-wheeler, the big box van, and I had to exit off the freeway at 75 miles per hour because the noise got really loud, and I'm thinking I've lost a lug out of the wheel, and I went over on the shoulder at 75 miles per hour and then let that big 18-wheeler roll on by me, and I geared it down and got it stopped. A bolt we had changed, we'd done some changing, and we did not use Loctite. And normally those boats would be put in with either blue or red Loctite. And we didn't put the Loctite on that boat. And that boat came out on the inside of the wheel and it was hitting the weight, the balancing weight on the rear wheel, and it's going tick, 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 tick. And then as the head of it started rolling, it it started hitting on the other, the gap in the rim, and it started making a bigger noise, and that's what it was. I removed the boat and rode on home, and then we went over the hardware and got a new boat and put the Loctite on it. Never had the issue again. And that's a video. I've got a video of it. You can hear me. You can see when I realize there's an issue. And when you hear me coming off at 75 miles per hour over onto the shoulder, it's a serious issue. Yeah, there's so many things that you enjoy about the three wheeler. Um, I've had several wrecks on my two wheeler, and gravel was one of them. And I got the scars to prove it. My wife and I in San Antonio, Texas, I bought a new motorcycle. She was 7 months pregnant, and her car was being serviced, and she wanted me to take her out to work. We was going out to where she worked, and on the way, we were doing like 75 on the freeway, the loop that goes around San Antonio, Texas, and I was going to turn onto San Pedro. As I went to San Pedro, runs out to the international airport. And as I went to make the turn, unbeknown to me, somebody had lost a bunch of oil and it was all across the road there. And the curve, it was pretty steep as I made that turn at that speed. And my bike washed out from under me and she fell flat over her back. And I'm skidding. I went another 100 and something feet on up the road there from her. And when I looked back there, she was laying in the middle of the road, in the middle of that exit, and there was a car sitting over the top of her head. It was a Mustang car. Her head was under the bumper, and I run down there and get her out from under the car. She's 7 months pregnant. Um, I had to go up there and pull the handlebars out of the tank and had to kick some stuff to get it to where I can, and I put her on the back of that bike, and I took her to the hospital, over to the hospital at the by the airport, and she couldn't sit on the bike. She kept falling off the bike, but I held on to her, and what reason she couldn't hold on to the back, hold on, is her balance, her inner ear, and the baby had rotated in her belly. That's my son Donald was born. Donald came into this world 9 pounds and 14 ounces, so he's a big baby boy. But he had rotated around inside of her womb, and um, so her ear had not caught up to the baby's movement, and it took her 3 or 4 days to get her balance back. But he was born a big, healthy boy. Both of us was skin up real good, but we survived it. You just never know when you're going to get hit. That was in San Antonio, Texas, 1970. She loved biking. Oh, yeah. It took her a while to get where the baby settled itself down, and once it did, her inner ear synchronized with the baby, and she carried full-term delivery. She did not have a cesarean, nothing like that. But old Donald popped in here. I Yeah, he popped in here, and he was born in Washington State in Franklin County, and down in the Tri-City area. Tri-City area of Washington is where they developed the heavy water for the atomic bomb, and over at Hanford at the nuclear power place over there. It was a secret project back in those days, and they was a part of that thing at Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where they assembled everything and the first atomic bomb. She's a big Indian woman, and I don't mean tall Indian woman. She was a Cherokee, and they never complain about nothing. They're really tough individuals. They just don't complain about a lot. They pretty tight-lipped, very quiet. He was born in 1970. Well, my boy Donald was born on September 1970, and yeah, he came into this world, big old kid, big guy. He's pretty good size right now, and he's got my grandson that's going to be a big boy as well if everything works out for him. I talked to him last night. I was 30 years old, and I owned the world at the age of 30. I bet you'd be happy when you get back on the road again. On the road again. 12 pounds. Ooh, frog. That's mm. Well, this is Friday evening. It's a little bit after 8. I think I'll go ahead and cut you guys loose. I really appreciate everybody come and visit of Old Mac, and if you get a chance, check out my latest video. It's all AI, all the music is. I put the words to it, and this is the first time I ever did that. I was testing YouTube to see if it would fly through, and it went through with no issues. They said it would go through, and it did. Wow, what a difference between the daddy and the baby. You just never know. One of my little boys, he was a littler fellow, and he grew up to be a bigger fellow. He's 6'1", 6'2" right now, and he put in 22 years in the Army. He did like 1,500 jumps. He spent a lot of years in the 101st Airborne. What model International are you driving? I drove a pretty nice little. It was a 170, I believe it was the model. I think that's what it was. I believe it was a 170. Yeah, I'm remembering that was back. That's been quite a long time ago. We drove used to drive Internationals when they had V8 gasoline V8 engines in them. We're talking about in the 60s. They had 394 cubic inch engines in them back in way back in those days. 394 cubic inch and a huge 4 barrel on that thing. We never worried about gas because gas was like 19 cents a gallon, and we loaded them things up with gas, and we didn't own the trucks. We just drove them and made a lot of money. Oh, okay. Like a pro. Okay. I, I've driven several of the newer model internationals. And then they gave me a Kenworth that I really liked. I think it was a W600, and it had a nice sleeper in it, and that was a good machine. Kind of like a slope nose a little bit. I think it wasn't a aardvark, but all them models starting to roll together. And then I had one of those a Mac that had a V8 thermodyne engine and a quadruplex transmission. I was working out of a quarry, and the trailer was 66 foot long. The trailer by itself was the quarry trailer that was using. It had 3 dumps in it, and you had little switches on your dash that you could open up the different dumps. And we pulled out of the yard in Renton, Washington, and the driver told me, he said, "Flip that switch over there." He was taking me out to where the quarry was at, and nothing happened. And he said, "Flip that other one," and I flipped it, and nothing happened. And we were going on to Rainier Avenue. If you ever been around the Renton, Washington, there's a main avenue that cuts through there called Rainier Avenue. And about the time I hit that switch, there was about 800 pounds of dirt in that hopper, and that clamshell in the bottom opened up, and that 800 pounds of dirt came out, and the rear wheels just went right over it, and the big portion of it sticking up in the center, and a Volkswagen Beetle hit it and landed right up on the top of that 800 pounds or so of dirt, big old wad of dirt in the road, and the little wheels was spinning, and that old boy just grabbed another gear and another gear and another gear, and we got on out of there. Never looked back. Yeah, let me go ahead and let you cut you guys free. I want to thank you very much for coming over here and spending Friday evening with Old Mac. It's so greatly appreciated. I wish Angelique could have been in here, but she's got a series that she watches, and she said I will be indisposed, so don't be calling on me. So she's doing her thing, and I'm doing mine over here. And so, with that, if anybody have any last words to say it, go ahead and spit it out now. And thank Toga for giving me a chance to communicate with you and sending that little song, and did not know how I was going to post it, whatever. But everybody have a good weekend, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. You're good human beings. Oh, Angelique, she loves riding on the bike. Well, it's been quite a journey. Last year we did 6,000 miles, and she never ever complains about anything. So if you guys encourage me, I keep talking, and I won't be able to cut you loose. So bye bye, Saranara. It's been a good show, and now it's time for me to